First, let's start with this case. We're currently on a family vacation. Me, my husband, our 2 kids, and my parents. My relationship with my mother has always been complicated. My dad often says we're like oil and water. She has a tendency to behave in odd, competitive ways, especially over my dad's attention. Not just with me, but even with her grandsons. For instance, if my dad wants to read them a bedtime story or tuck them in, she'll interrupt him and tell him it's time for him to go to sleep instead. It's awkward and cringeworthy to witness. Another factor is my chronic pain. I've been through every possible avenue to manage it, but nothing works. I've lost my career and many aspects of my former life because of it. My mother, however, constantly downplays my pain, treating it as though I just have a minor inconvenience. Meanwhile, she's the opposite. She's always searching for new doctors for every minor ache or twinge, making a big deal out of anything that happens to her. Tonight, we were headed out for our first family dinner of the trip. Everyone was dressed up, and the hotel lobby was beautifully decorated for Christmas. I started taking pictures of the family, and finally asked my dad to snap one of just the 4 of us: me, my husband, and our kids. While we were posing, I noticed my mom standing next to my dad and heard her yell, "Stop that! You need to fix your smile!" At first, I thought she was talking to one of my kids, so I added cheerfully, "Okay, nice smiles." But then she clarified, "No, you, my name, your smile is horrible." She then mimicked me by pulling her fingers at the sides of her mouth in an exaggerated, goofy way and tilting her head. I was stunned. I was genuinely smiling, but I know my smile probably doesn't reach my eyes as much as it used to because of my pain. I tried resetting my pose, but she interrupted again. "Stop making that face!" At this point, I was furious. I walked over, took the phone from my dad, grabbed my purse, and started heading toward the restaurant. She followed me, doubling down and insisting I look at the pictures to see how awful my smile was. I did, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with the photo. Her relentless comments pushed me over the edge. I told my husband I was sorry, but I couldn't join them for dinner, and went back to the room alone. I was so angry I couldn't think straight, and as soon as I was alone, the tears came. Now, in my mom's mind, and maybe everyone else's, I ruined dinner. And maybe I did. I should be able to let her words roll off me, but it's hard when I already feel like a shell of who I used to be because of this unrelenting pain. Now it feels like I can't even smile correctly. I worry I've hurt the people I care about most, my husband and kids, and that just makes me feel worse. Am I wrong for leaving and potentially ruining the evening for everyone? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. It is past time to put some distance between you and your mother. She has serious issues if she is this jealous of you and your children's interactions with your father. That is not mentally healthy. Realize 2 things. First thing is, what she is doing is what is known as mental abuse. That is all it is. The constant degrading is abuse. She is humiliating you in public for maximum effect. This is coming from her unhealthy need to be the center of attention. She sees you as competition for that, so acts to emotionally hurt you to eliminate the competition. She is not well. The second thing to realize is this. Being around her is teaching your children that it is okay to disrespect you, and that they should tolerate disrespect from loved ones. This is setting a terrible example for your children. Remove them from that dynamic. Dad is at best an enabler. He just lets mom run all over you to her heart's content. He's not innocent in this story. So the TLDR, your parents are terrible. Time to focus on your own family and get some space from them. You're not in the wrong. You did not ruin the dinner. Your mom did. She deliberately degraded you, pushed you, heckled you, and shamed you. All the other adults, including your husband, suck. Your husband should have stood up for you. Period. Instead, he watched her do all these things and knew you were hurt by them. Your dad has let your mom get away with this behavior literally your entire life. He let her verbally and emotionally abuse you. Period. Your mom is an abusive, cruel, and narcissistic butthole. I'm sure she's enjoying all the attention she's getting by playing the victim. For your mental health, please find a therapist to help you process everything. Chronic pain, a husband who won't stand up for you, and parents that run roughshod over you are absolutely things therapy can help you with. And start going low contact with your parents now. They don't deserve front row seats to your pain. Your mother sounds like a narcissist. There are ways to handle them, by either gray rocking or going no contact. While you're not in the wrong for leaving, you gave her what she wanted, which was an emotional reaction. Your father presumably enables her. But if your husband stayed, and moreover is mad at you, as opposed to your assumption he thinks negatively, then you also have a husband problem. You should be working with a specialist therapist who can help you confront the trauma resulting from having a narcissistic parent, and may find there's a connection between the trauma and your pain issues. Trauma can be mental and somatic, which means of the body, as it's possible for trauma to migrate and cause physical issues. The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Volk and It Didn't Start With You by Mark Wolin are good resources on this. Next up, on Saturday, my husband confessed that he'd had an affair and that a child resulted from it. Our children are 14-year-old son and 10-year-old daughter, and this child is a 9-year-old girl. He also told me that something had happened to the child's mother recently. I didn't catch the details as I was too furious to listen fully, and he was leaving to go bring her to live with us. Shortly after, my 10-year-old daughter came to me in tears. My husband had told her that she would need to share her room and belongings with this girl for now. I could see how upset she was, and I immediately called my parents, who offered for her to stay in their guest room. My son and I decided to stay at the house, but I packed up all of my daughter's things, and on Monday, my family stepped in to help. My parents, sister, brother-in-law, and nephews came over to assist in moving all of her belongings to my parents' place. They also helped install locks on my bedroom door and my son's bedroom door. Additionally, we moved all of my husband's things out of my bedroom and into the spare fourth bedroom he'd been using as a home office. When my husband returned yesterday evening with the child, he was upset to find my daughter's room empty and unprepared for her. He was particularly angry that no clothing or essentials had been left for the girl, as she comes from a much warmer climate and isn't equipped for the colder weather here in the northern U.S. This morning, he confronted me in the kitchen to complain again, accusing me of being cruel for not making my daughter share her room and belongings with the child. Am I wrong for standing my ground and protecting my daughter's space? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. His plan was to make your daughter share, not go out and buy her some essentials to get by while assessing what else is going to be needed. Make both girls share a room with a stranger out of the blue, and not as a question of a couple of weeks, but permanently. Not give up his home office to create a bedroom for her. Everything he was planning on was guaranteed to undermine your daughter's sense of security, safety, and sense of her place within your family. Yeah, the affair daughter is here and needs to be taken care of, but not by undermining your other children unless it is the absolute last and therefore necessary option. Plus, the sheer audacity to expect that he just got to unilaterally dictate that to your daughter, not discuss with you and agree together on what would happen. I mean, definitely, you're not in the wrong for refusing to make your daughter share her belongings with your husband's affair child. But also, what is your ultimate game plan here? From the post, it sounds like you have completely relocated your daughter to her grandparents' house. Even if she gets to keep all her stuff with her, it's not fair to move her out of the home just to safeguard her belongings. Honestly, it sounds like you need to kick husband to the curb and let him figure out how he needs to care for his affair child. If you intend to stay with husband for some reason, then you need to seriously work through those logistics to ensure your daughter can come home and figure out how your husband's affair child factors into that equation. You're not in the wrong. It isn't your fault that your husband committed your daughter's belongings and bedroom to this girl without even consulting you first. Husband has broken and trampled over trust, several times over it would appear. And having your daughter stay with your parents for the time being sounds both like a better alternative to her space being suddenly shared/invaded, and kind to this girl to not share the bedroom she has to stay in. I really feel for this kid. She's 9 years old, just lost her mom, and is whipped up in all kinds of turmoil. None of this is her fault. However, It isn't your fault she doesn't have weather-appropriate clothes right now. Husband is taking care of her and should be responsible for meeting her needs as best he can, clothes and outerwear included. There is no realm where your daughter is obligated to share her belongings with a sudden half-sister because their shared dad isn't making it a priority to get his kids what they need. Please hold him accountable for this. Amidst the hurt of this situation, I can understand being guarded and resentful towards him. I just want to gently emphasize to be mindful of yourself around this girl. Please do your best, or continue to do so, to help her feel secure. Have all the problems in the world with her dad, while making sure not to address these problems with the kid around to witness. She's in such a precarious position as it is. All the best to you and your family, OP. Good luck. Next up, I, 27-year-old female, have been dating my boyfriend, 29-year-old male, for a little over a year. We met through mutual friends and hit it off immediately. Our relationship has been wonderful so far, except for one issue that recently came up. My boyfriend was born in Poland to Polish parents, but attended international schools growing up, and has been living in the U.S. for the past 8 years. He speaks English like a native speaker, and typically only speaks Polish when talking to his parents or other family members. I haven't met his parents yet because they still live in Poland, and my demanding job has made it hard to travel. However, I recently got promoted, which means more vacation time, so we're planning to visit Poland for Christmas and stay there for 2 to 3 weeks. I've been really excited about the trip, meeting his family and discovering the country he grew up in. The issue arose when my boyfriend asked me to start learning Polish before our trip so I could communicate with his family. While I completely understand why he'd want this and respect the idea, I told him I couldn't commit to learning the language before the trip for several reasons. First, we leave on December 19th, just 2 weeks from now, and learning a new language, especially one as challenging as Polish, in such a short time is unrealistic. Second, my workload is currently very heavy as I prepare for the holidays, leaving me little time to dedicate to studying. Finally, my company has asked me to learn Italian for professional reasons, so I'm already focusing on that, and worry that starting another language now would overwhelm me. I did offer to learn some basic words and phrases, like greetings and polite expressions, but I explained that I wouldn't be able to hold a full conversation in Polish. For additional context, his parents speak English fairly well, as do some of his other family members. I also suggested that he could help translate when necessary, but he doesn't want to do that. He got upset and said I was being disrespectful to his family and not making an effort to appreciate his culture. He went on to complain about how Americans don't bother learning other languages. I'm fluent in 3 languages and currently learning a 4th. Then, he told me that if I wasn't willing to make the effort, I should stay behind and not join him for the holidays. I'm at a loss. I understand his perspective and want to show respect to his family and culture, but what he's asking isn't feasible right now. Am I in the wrong here? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. And why do I get the sense he's intentionally bombing this trip? Like he's not an idiot, right? He knows you can't learn a language in 2 weeks while also learning a different language during a busy work period, especially when his parents speak English and you've only been dating a year. Even if you tried, even if you had nothing else to focus on, no Italian and no job, I sincerely doubt you would be able to get more than basic phrases in the time you have. They speak English. You speak English. You cannot become conversational in a whole new language in 2 weeks. I don't know what kind of miracles he's expecting of you, but he is indeed being unreasonable. And speaking of not trying hard enough, how about asking you sooner? How about trying to teach you? How about not springing this on you the same month he expects you to be conversing in Polish? You're not in the wrong. Time to reconsider going to visit Poland with him, and maybe more. You are in the process of learning Italian for work, so Polish is not a priority. If he was so interested in you speaking Polish, he could have spent time during your relationship teaching you the basics. Lots of Europeans are anti-American, so don't take his rant about that too seriously. He wanted to hurt you, and insulting Americans came easy to him. Europeans do it like breathing. LOL, you're not in the wrong. You explained why it was not practical for you to learn Polish now. His reaction was childish and very revealing about how he sees you. He even forgot you speak several languages already, which meant that you are not the horrible stereotypical American he had renting space in his mind. Next up, I, 24-year-old female, recently got engaged to my fiancé, Matt, 23-year-old male, and we're in the middle of planning our wedding. When we started discussing the guest list, I told Matt that I didn't want to invite his friend Melissa, 24-year-old female. I know this might come across as me being insecure, but I believe I have valid reasons for feeling this way. To provide some context, Melissa's family and Matt's family have been close since they were toddlers. I met both Matt and Melissa when we were teenagers working at a summer job, and I became close with both of them. Over time, I started to fall for Matt, and Melissa knew about my feelings because we'd often talk about it. She even said she thought it would be cute if we ended up together. Later, Melissa moved away for college, and not long after, Matt and I became an official couple. Melissa always seemed supportive. She would comment on and like our social media posts, and when she visited town, she'd join family dinners and say how happy she was for us. I genuinely thought she was happy for our relationship. Recently, though, I found out through credible sources that Melissa has been saying negative things about me behind my back. Comments like, Matt could do better, she's ugly, they won't last, and even accusations that I was cheating just because I went on a ski trip with my girlfriends. When I shared this with Matt, he cut her off but didn't confront her directly, explaining that he wanted to avoid drama between their families. While I was hurt that he didn't stand up for me more actively, I chose to respect his wishes and keep it private. However, when it comes to our wedding, I feel like this is a moment where I'm allowed to prioritize my feelings. I don't want to invite someone who secretly undermines our relationship and has said such hurtful things about me. When Matt's mom found out, she didn't outright tell me to change my mind, but tried to persuade me, saying I should be the bigger person and show that her words mean nothing to me. She also pointed out that Melissa's absence would be noticed by many and could lead to questions or gossip. I don't want drama, but at the same time, it feels wrong to invite someone who has been so disrespectful just to avoid upsetting others. It's my wedding, and I feel like I should have the right to decide who gets to be there. Am I wrong for not wanting Melissa at our wedding? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong, NGL. I get why you're upset. Like, if she's been talking trash about you behind your back, that's messed up. It's your day. You shouldn't have to invite someone who's been shady. But also, I get how it might cause drama with the families. Personally, I'd probably stick to my guns, but I'd also have a convo with Matt about how it makes you feel, and maybe he can talk to his mom more about it, so it's not just on you. You're not in the wrong. She sounds like she'd make a stink if she wasn't invited. And if the families aren't aware of why she wasn't invited, she'd have free rein to make up reasons why. Might be best to invite her. Rub your happiness in her face. And for a bit of petty revenge, make sure she's sat near the most annoying family members, or is placed where she'd be last in line for the reception's food. Is it worth meeting with Melissa, with Matt, and having a frank and open discussion as to why you're hurt? What if it's just gossip and it's not coming from her? But if it is, why would you not want her to know that you've heard and don't appreciate her nasty comments? I think that personally I'd want to put it to bed as an adult and in a transparent way so that there is no confusion as to where you stand as a couple. You're not in the wrong. It's not your responsibility to be the bigger person at your own wedding by inviting someone who, while maybe an important person to attendees, had badmouthed you behind your back. It's obvious that she does not actually support this relationship, and you do not need that bad energy around you on your special day. So what if a few rumors fly around? Let them. Your happiness should be valued above the thoughts and opinions of your guests and husband's family.